I was curious what attracted you to acting, kind of what it fulfilled in you.
Well, actually, I've always been interested in doing something artistic. And music was the first interest I had, but I just never was able to, I wasn't able to get myself in a situation where I could do that. And so all through school, I would do different artistic things that in lieu of the music. But I went away for 8 years after I got out of school and went into the Air Force. And during that time, I got involved in comedy. I did stand-up comedy on an amateur level, and I found that enjoyable. But really, when I got out of the service, I was out for 6 years, and I was working as a salesman. I was selling automobiles, and one of my customers came in for service one day and asked me if I'd like to do a play. And it sounded like it would be fun. It was just for 3 days, three performances. And once I did that, I found it so stimulating to get on the stage and perform. I went and auditioned for another play, and I got cast in a play called Early Victorious. It was written by Ossie Davis. And that play taught me that there were a lot of things I could say in theater, and on the stage, in movies and television, that were very important, that were meaningful things that, that went in addition to being a means of entertaining people and touching them in different ways. There were things that you could say related to the human condition, and at the time, this was in 1969, it was a time when civil rights were one of the main concerns of the whole country. Mm-hmm. I found that we could do a play that dealt with civil rights, lack thereof, and in a comedy, which Early Victorious was, and make some very important points, and at the same time be very entertaining, and in fact get us all to laugh at ourselves to some degree. So it was that experience that showed me the real importance and the power of theater, and also, of course, it was a means of being able to express my own concerns in particular, and a way of giving. I think to be an artist, you have to have a sense of giving. I believe most artists have that, regardless to their art. They create this thing. It's actually art is somewhat of a prayer, isn't it? We respond to what we see around us and what we feel, and how things affect us physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I hope it's not a brief answer, but
it's absolutely a great answer. But and the period of time where you came up in theater and film in the late 60s and 70s, I mean, that's generally considered, at least in terms of movies, the greatest decade for cinema. And I guess it must have something to do with, we had gone through many assassinations, civil rights, the Vietnam War. As a country, as a world, we were dealing with a lot, and the artists at that time were portraying that. I mean, did you sense that was a great time for artistic expression?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In fact, I often share with people the fact that, when I left, I was in Cleveland, Ohio, when I made my decision to get involved and to study the craft, to become an actor. And I went to New York, and it was a time when I had the least in my life as far as material things, money or anything. But it was the most exciting time of my life, and I've never been. I was never that happy before, and I've never been that happy again, because it was such an invigorating time, and it was a hopeful time. We all felt that, we wanted to do something to make the world a better place. People even wrote songs about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we dealt with their things, and just everything, every taboo, and every prejudice was tested. Unfortunately, they haven't all been conquered, but at least they were brought to the fore. I think we moved ahead quite a bit in those decades.
I mean, I look at those films from that period of time that we've been discussing, and I think those films were about something. I mean, they were grappling with issues, and I wish there was more of that today, because we could use it today. We're in an atmosphere of tremendous conflict today, and we could use the artist's voice out there.
Right. And I don't think we don't experience it nearly as much now. Now everything is so formulated. If one movie does well, then we have to see 5 or 6 more just like that. Done in the same way or with the same kind of theme. And it's obviously more about the bucks now than about the content. And I think that's. I can't. I'm sure that everyone else who does this has to feel that way too. And I know I talk to other actors and other artists, and they feel the same way. It's with sometimes what we have to do is not about anything, and that's a little discouraging.
You're obviously a working actor, so you want to work as much as possible. But occasionally, I'm sure one of these gems of a movie comes your way, or a project. And the last film that I saw you in that really struck my heart was Get Low. I mean, was that a particularly special project for you to be involved in?
Oh, absolutely. That was really such a wonderful experience. It was as special as it turned out to be. The experience was as special as the final product, I think.
Well, when I think of your performances, and I love you in everything that I see you in, I love the quality that you feel completely comfortable, and your characters feel completely lived in and honest. And so when I think of Robert Duvall the same way. So I'm curious, when you're acting across from Duvall, what is that dynamic like for you?
Well, that's interesting, because people ask that often. And the funny thing is, when the moment we met, we spoke, said hello, rehearsed the scene, and it was, and we were off and running. And I guess when you were, I think I was far better prepared to work with Mr. Duvall than I might have been in some other situations, because when you're about to work with somebody like that, you and just out of the very idea makes you feel as though you have to do much better than you might do at other times. That doesn't mean that I don't care about my work on other occasions, but it's such a challenge that you see, and so it was just, and also, I often tell students and other people as well that the really good performers are usually the nicest people. And certainly Robert Duvall fits that. He's not a person who you're working with an actor. You're not working with a celebrity or a star. You see, and that was the same with the entire cast. That's it was just a situation, one of the great situations where everybody came with the same attitude. We're actors, we're professionals, and we have a job to do, and we did it with mutual respect for one another, and so those are the kinds of experiences that I've been blessed to have when I work with the best people. And it's not like to put anybody down, I think.
Well, we had Robert Duvall on the show for Get Low, and in speaking to him about how he prepares for a role or a particular scene, it seemed that he was very non-fussy about it, and I find with actors that have been doing it a long time, you kind of learn to be more efficient in your approach. You don't have the urge to kind of throw in everything but the kitchen sink. You simplify. I mean, do you find that?
That's very true. I think that's what I was trying to say when I said the best are the really good ones are the best at just at acting. They prepare for what they have to do. They come prepared. They do it, and they're very, very respectful of everyone around them. There's we hear horror stories of people on the set and this issue's going on, and that I think that happens with people who are not quite they don't quite have it together. But the great people that I performed with, and there's so many of them. I would do an injustice to a lot of them if I started naming just a few. But the real people are just people who love what they do, have respect for what they do, and they have a respect for their fellow actors and the people everyone else on the set as well, not just the actors, but the crew and the director and the producers. And everyone comes with the same spirit, and that's when you see. Usually, that's when you see the really great projects come out.
Mm-hmm. And what do you need from a director to kind of facilitate that environment?
Trust and honesty. And I need for the director to trust me to do my job, and to be honest with me when I'm missing it. Just might not, give me the direction. But at the same time, if I'm struggling in the very beginning, when we get started, I don't, you don't need a director to tell you the most basic things when you're just beginning, because you're floating your way around,
Right.
You sit there. So it's usually a really good director, I think, creates the atmosphere in which the people that he's chosen to do the parts can function. And if he does that, he usually does very well. And another thing with a good director, when he does have to give you a note, he doesn't go on and on and on. Once he says enough for you to understand what he's saying, he cuts it short. He just makes it simple, because it doesn't take a whole lengthy. When you're working with directors who are just beginning, and particularly directors who haven't been actors, if they're just beginning, sometimes they'll just go on a little bit to the point where they begin to get on your nerves a little bit. Yeah,
they want to overtalk it. Yeah,
exactly. Once you say, "Okay, I got it," and usually that's enough.
But do you, even at this stage of your career, do you still feel insecurities and uncertainties and about your work at times?
Absolutely. I don't think you ever get to the point where, I think it's dangerous when you don't have some of that. Now, the actors are different. There's some actors who they have to worry about everything. they're always nervous, and always nervous before they go, and there's certain things that they have to do and all different preparations for some people. I like to relax. I'm a person. I'm pretty much relaxed all the time, and that's what works for me. But absolutely, I think that if you don't have, sometimes when you're concerned and thinking, oh, how am I going to do this, or this something doesn't seem right here, then that's dangerous. If you just feel like everything's just fine, I'm brilliant, I'm sailing right along. So yes, you definitely have. I think we all have those moments where we hit a partner, we hit a snag somewhere, and we say, oh goodness, I'm going to pull this off. Or even you may look at a project and think, well, this is really going to be something to do. I really have to really work extra hard at this, whatever. But overall, I'm a person who relaxes most of the time. And like I said, but let me repeat it again. That can be dangerous because you can get lulled into a false sense of security, and so I think you should. I think if I were talking to any young actor, I'd say be as well prepared. If you got 2 lines in a project, or if you got 1 scene or 2 lines, or just very very little to do, I would treat that just like I had a major role, or I was going to lead. I would recommend that attitude. That's one of the things that happens when I think when I look at theater and I look at television and films. It's one of the dangers I found that I find myself not putting as much energy into it, not being as not being as excited about things as I used to be.
Well, I would think that relaxation, though, would be really important because, I mean, you come from the theater, and the theater is one animal where there's a continuity there. You can follow it from beginning to end. But when you're on a film set and you're working on a moment or a particular scene and there's crew around you and it's kind of an unnatural situation. I mean, was that a big learning curve for you when you started to do film, to get comfortable with that and the camera?
No. And the reason it hasn't been is because I've always had this ability to relax. When I first got started, when I came from Cleveland, I hadn't done anything but I had done 3 plays the year before. Of course, that one where I did The Favor, and I only did it for 3 days. And then I did 2 full productions at the theater in '69, and then 1970 I went to New York. So that was my theater experience, except aside from the comedy that I had done, which helped a lot. But anyway, I saw Morgan Freeman in a 2-character play with Beverly Todd, and the 2 of them were brilliant. And I looked at Morgan and I thought to myself, that's what I want to do someday. And then I was blessed to work with just the best of the actors that we had in New York at that time. I was lucky enough to get parts in plays. Many times I was an understudy for somebody, but I had an opportunity to watch these great performers work, and I just sat and absorbed all of that, and I learned there how they just handled themselves in the theater and in the rehearsals. And I saw a lot of the right things to do, and I saw a lot of the wrong things to do. And so I had a chance to sit back and say, okay, all right, I see where the confusion can come from, and I see where I see things I want to avoid. And so having that in mind, I enjoy what I do. I really enjoy it, and it's exciting. It's exciting to have a project and work on it and see it come to fruition. So I enjoy doing this so much that I can't imagine not relaxing.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very rare that I get tense. And if I'm tense and nervous, I haven't done my work.
Let me tell you, sir, that I was so pleased that I was given an opportunity to have time with you, and I really appreciate the time.
Well, thank you, Jamie, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to you, and thank you for your support all this time. I really appreciate it.